Hey everybody, it's Vern Keenan here from Oakland, California with the very first edition of the Keenan Vision podcast recorded June 25th, 2021. Before I say anything else, I just want to thank everybody who has supported me on this journey of helping people figure out Salesforce DevOps. I couldn't do this without your support, so thank you. Let's kick this off with something everybody wants to hear about, which is TrailheaDX21. The event was broadcast this week from Salesforce headquarters in San Francisco. I'll be giving you my spin on things from the DevOps perspective. So at TrailheaDX, they showed off low-code and high-code app production strategies for developers, admins, architects, partners, and IT leaders, something for everybody. Announcements included details on upcoming app products, including DevOps Center, Salesforce Functions, and the unified CLI. Salesforce announced the new SF CLI command, and according to a blog posting they published, the new CLI is designed to facilitate multi-cloud development. And I believe their intent is to unify some of the authentication systems and all those clouds with the new CLI. The relationship between SFDX CLI and SF CLI is not super clear at this point, but they said in a posting that scripts using SFDX CLI should work when you install SF CLI because they both get installed at the same time. What? That sounds weird. I don't see a migration here. So I checked out some of the SF commands that are available in a demo version, and it looks like they do map roughly to SFDX CLI commands. And they also said that there's an Oak Cliff framework still being used, so plugins should move over to the new framework. So the other big news was Salesforce Functions. This is where you can write your own Java or JavaScript functions in Node.js, and that code runs separately from Salesforce, but done by Salesforce in Heroku, and they announced GA for that coming up in winter 22. During the Q&A session, Salesforce acknowledged they do not provide any additional security framework or security stuff for Salesforce Functions. That means there's no software composition analysis going on, and this is basically a new attack surface they introduced into Salesforce. So if you're going to use Functions, you better be careful and make sure that you don't have a typo or something in there. You're bringing in some nightmare for your CISO into your Salesforce org. So there was also on DevOps Center, there was little or no progress. I was disappointed. Pretty much a repeat of the talks that they have already given since last fall. It's disappointing to hear about the beta program, which is not happening at all until the fall or maybe winter. They talked about spring 22 as a possibility for it becoming GA. So they did state, answer some questions that pricing will be set and there will be a generous free tier, free enough to get rid of release of change sets, I believe. So they also talked about some integration with Jira, and they said that GitHub is currently the only repository system that they are supporting, but they are looking at the rest, including on-prem repos, which they said it would be extra hard to do. They also added a new cool feature to SFDX CLI. So if you're running in a sandbox, you can now do push and pull between your local workstation and a sandbox org. So that's pretty awesome, actually, because you couldn't do that with a production org. So now at least you can do that with a sandbox org. So they also talked about some low-code introductions. Dynamic interactions is an area where you can do the connect components, wire them together in Lightning Experience Designer. And they also talked about other updates to Flow, such as Flow Orchestrator and MuleSoft Composer, and did focus on the admins, but I found this session to tilt kind of into the high code areas. Now, at the end, they had a session called True to the Core, Meet the Executives, where about a dozen executives took questions from the user community. They talked about recent outages, and actually, I didn't like their responses. They seemed a little a little casual, and aloof, actually. Velocity seems to be having a big influence on Salesforce, more than I had known. And there was a lot of talk about Omni Studio and what that means. And Omni Studio is the experience designer that came along with Velocity into Salesforce. So basically, it seems like they're going to rethink things with Velocity Studio in mind. So that doesn't really put a lot of direction into Salesforce DevOps right now, as far as I can tell. They seem to still be thinking about different areas that they can use to optimize their process. So that is definitely a work in progress right there. So that wraps it up, gang. Thank you very much. Thank you. I really, really do appreciate everybody who's tuning in today, and I hope to hear back from you soon. Bye-bye.